I was telling these lovely folks, for some reason I just thought nobody'd be here and it would just be online. Because people that I invited, well, we'll watch it online. We'll watch it online. But I'm glad you're here. Okay, so thank you to you, UTC, for organizing today's event and for you all for being here. And welcome to what I hope will be an enjoyable time together for all of us. So a feel-good journey that we'll share. Just to let you know, the photographs that I selected are my guideposts for our unfolding time, and I hope that you do enjoy what they offer as they sit on the screen. So right now, I invite you to just sit back and just be. You have nothing to do. Don't even clap for anything. Just listen with your ears and your heart. And next slide. So, recollection of an era that will never be again. If you weren't there, you really missed out. So, I am a product of the 70s. And for any of my Jamaican childhood friends who may be watching now or later, know that as an Aquarian and a product of the 70s, maybe I might not remember all the details exactly how you remember them, so let me be. And back home we'd say, give me a bly. So if my memories are sweeter than yours, feel free to adopt them. And next slide. So feeling good, that's kind of the theme for this evening. And my question is, what if you chose to embrace that each and every day? Feeling good, consciously and deliberately, reaching for better thoughts, better feelings. That's what we're here for today, a shared feel-good journey, and weaving poetry in with anecdotes and reflections, because why not? That's one of the ways in which spirit moves me. And so there are two moments when I was feeling really good that I'm going to start off with and share. And the first one is called Eternal Space. In a gap between sound, spirit calls my name, the voice that moves beyond words, summoning me home to my heart. Abide with me in this place, an eternal space that has no edges, no walls, undefined parameters, boundless as you are, formless, transcending all that is known, fading into the sweet nothingness of the unknown. And the next one is called Love's Inner Chamber. And I wrote this back in 2009. I enter the inner chamber and close the door. Immediately, there's a delightful impression that love's happy cells rush to surround and greet me. Brings a smile to my face and warmth to my heart. God's energy bubbles are doing the happy dance because I'm here. There may or may not be actual happy bubbles sent out on a mission from God to welcome me. All I can speak to is the feeling that I have as I rest in silence. There's an energetic acknowledgement of sorts, awareness greeting itself. Comfortable warmth being somewhere that feels like home. Everything is all right in this space. All concerns are left at the door, for that is not why I'm here. Why am I here? Why have I come this very day to sit in silence? Words escape me as I search to capture the essence of what fills my heart. Still, I seek the elusive, for I feel called always to share my truth. I'm here to give thanks. I'm here as an expression of my love and devotion. I'm here in answer to an inner call to come home. I belong here. Every moment when I've turned my back on God, I deny myself. Every time I come from a small sense of I'm denying the larger dimension of who and what I am. This divine space calls me. Sometimes I get busy with other matters and don't hear the eternal bell that rings for you and for me. It is always ringing. In precious moments of grace, I hear and I answer love's call. One day we will sing a song of love together. One day the feeling of love will touch everything. It will be all that we know. It will be all that we are. That day is here, and that moment is now. The choice is ours to rest in this space. Next slide. So, your day. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. And what do you fill that space with? What do you make the foundation of your day? What are the anchors? What do you fill in between? Does it feel like you're just floating through life, or is it more conscious and deliberate? Next slide. So I don't think that I can really do justice to the inspiration that feeds me, feeds my poetry, the writing, without referencing my childhood, my background. So I grew up in Jamaica. I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. And the kind of child I was, barefoot, short shorts, outside constantly. If I wasn't up in a tree, then I was just running around on the hockey field, a piece of grass just dangling in my mouth, eating fruit, listening to music. The radio was on constantly. So there was always some kind of music in the background. And the remembrances, a lot of which I go back to school years. And I went to St. Andrew prep school, junior school, and high school. And it's not like here where religion isn't part of the school day. Religion was part of our school day. And that's pretty consistent for most of the schools. So what I do remember throughout is that in the mornings, the way that we would start our day as a class, or actually as a school body, we would line up by forms and we would go over to an auditorium or a hall as we called it. And we would start the day off with prayer. Sometimes the Lord's Prayer, we'd sing hymns, some kind of song that the music teacher would teach us. If we got in trouble, we got in trouble together. But it was by and large, it was a really good feeling. And for me, as I've gotten older, I go back to that and I remember that. I remember that's how I start the day. And then it feels like it sets the tone for the whole day. And there are times when I will forget and maybe turn the news on, and then that kind of plunges me into this darker place where then I'm worrying about all these horrible things going on. And I do like to know what's going on in the world. But what's important is this foundation of feeling good and starting there so that what comes next has a pretty solid place to stand on. Next slide. Okay, so these are not children from my background. However, they're peeping into a hole and they're looking, and so there's a feeling of curiosity to this. And for me, that feels like some mischief, which I can get in. My mother always said that I was, well, she'd say I was a troublemaker. I like to think of it as good trouble, not bad trouble. But anyway, I was thinking of different things from my background that influenced me, and one that I picked, there are a couple, but one that I picked to start with, it's kind of funny. And it's called lizard drama. The Jamaican croaking lizard often finds its way into Jamaican households, much to the dismay of many Jamaican humans. Many Jamaicans fear this gecko because of its speed and ability to stick to walls, but especially because of the croaking sound it makes while they're trying to sleep. Tourists don't seem to mind the lizards and are fascinated by their nightly journeys on the wall. I found this funny but true article about croaking lizards from D. George, published in 2002. It says, "Want to bring a Jamaican to their knees? Just mention the word croaking lizards. The lizard, which is the gecko family, is one of the most feared things in Jamaica and clears a room quicker than a 3-alarm fire. This lizard makes the most annoying sound at night, and that has scared the bedevil out of Jamaicans and has created more myths than you can count with fingers and toes. Shining a light won't scare them because they're bold as a bad dog. The croaking lizard has broken up more marriages than any mistress can. You see, any good Jamaican woman will refuse to sleep in a house with a croaking lizard in it. Jamaican women feel it is a husband's duty to kill the lizard, not only to beat the daylight out of the lizard, but he must also show it to her as proof that it is dead and that he has an undying love for her." So I don't go that far, but I do remember growing up, we were like terrified of these lizards, and we would think that if one falls on you, it's going to stick, and then you can't get it off. So as kids, we were afraid of the lizards, and that fear has not gone away. So here we are, years later, it's 2021, and this is my Jamaican woman's tale. So originally, I wrote this in 2007, amended it, and amended it again just the other day. It's my lizard drama. Don't judge me. I still have one active fear that rears its ugly head every time I go back home. I'm afraid of croco lizards. Nasty, fat, heavy-looking, pale gray-brown lizards that make a chirping, croaking sound, hence the name. My fear has now expanded to South Florida. Yes, they too have croaker lizards, but they also have iguanas relaxing by the side of the pools, coming up your toilets to greet you, just hanging out to give people like me a little challenge. But that's part 2 of this story. Back to part 1. Everything reasonable, rational, and spiritual goes out of the window when I see this horrible croaking lizard. Raw, crazy emotions rise up and take over. Disregard for life, except mine, dominates. In the moment, I have forgotten my spiritual practices, and truly, I don't care about anything except that lizard's extinction. I guess it would be okay if he was outside in a tree, but my preference is total removal. I'm not going to sugarcoat the stark reality. I don't have a happy handle on this sucker. I told my old school friend, Carolyn Rattray, that the main reason that I wouldn't move back to Jamaica is croaker lizards. Stupid, but true. So last night, summer 2007, I'm happily vacationing with my family in Jamaica. We picked a beautiful home right on the water with an awesome view. I spent hours and hours, actually days, weeks, researching to find the perfect house with screens. More importantly, this house had screens on all the windows to keep out these dreaded geckos. Naturally, We arrive, and some of the screens have tears. Some are not securely fastened anymore and have gaps that something can crawl through. I become hyper-vigilant. In my children's room at bedtime, I notice, who else would, a croco lizard right outside the window. I freak out and I tell my husband, I'm going to spray the lizard with bop if he doesn't kill him. Total disregard now for the environment to use that smelly, odious, long-lingering bug spray called bop. One spray and the deathly fumes seem to lodge in your lungs, even with the citronella added. Back to the lizard story. My husband proceeds to try and catch the creature with his hand. Immediately, I can sense my mistake in putting him on the job. He has no fear of the lizards. He's not 100% invested in the killing. If the lizard drops, which it eventually does, I don't have the sense that my spouse is going to do whatever it takes to find and put that body in a little coffin. He starts spraying bop. My son, Mikkel, is dancing excitedly on the floor. He, I'm sure, is dying to catch the lizard and keep him for a pet. I leave the room, heatedly predicting that Marshall is going to lose the croco, and he does. No surprise. Unfolds exactly the way I feared. Oh my God, it's probably the law of attraction at work. There really is no one to blame, but for a while, I do. Silently cursing my husband's inept lizard hunting skills, mad at his failures, my lizard savior, mad at myself for abdicating responsibility and not doing the job personally, mad that the 6-inch or so lizard is at large in my precious children's room, and I am now refusing to lay down in there and put anyone to sleep, ever. I continue to sit, unmoving, in the living room, staring at nothing, sort of sad and serious, disappointed. So here's a little pause. So pay attention. This is my pivotal moment in the story. So in this living room, I'm blessed with the gift of time for a shift to take place, if I'm open to it. A shift perhaps in my thinking, in my beliefs, all of which could then influence how I felt and the perspective that I was holding. So we go back to the story. I know I've been emotional, irrational, and illogical, behaving contrary to everything I believe. I realize that I'm now creating a nightmare in my head with my thinking and immersing myself in it. My doing, all of it. The small lizard, yes, is somewhere in a room. My children, who are unafraid, are probably asleep. And I, 5 feet 3 inches compared to 6 inches, is making things worse in my head. All of a sudden, I'm very conscious that I'm not living in the now. I'm off in some fabricated world concocted by fear. Such a real and vivid delusion. Time to switch gears and take on a new perspective. I am safe. I am unharmed. There's a small creature in the house, probably waiting for a quiet moment when it can safely come out and grab a moth. There's no vindictive, sadistic, murdering, plotting lizard waiting for the right moment to drop on me and scare me to death. I start to laugh. And from the laugh starts and the humor comes in, I can feel how totally crazy that really is. And you know what? There's humor in this messed up deal, and thankfully and finally I'm beginning to get the taste of it. I'm still not going in their bedroom though. Their dad can read them that bedtime story. Next slide. So this story, Love Finds a Way, has a lot of influence from back home. And I wrote this in September of 2011, and it's called Love Finds a Way. I don't always know right off the bat what I want to share, but I leave it alone and allow the material to come to me as it always does. This time, here's how it came in. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who believed in the magic of fairies, pixies, and elves. Surely these creatures that she delighted in reading about must inhabit her world. Her favorite author, Enid Blyton, said so, and she believed with all of her heart. In a realm that she couldn't see with her eyes, but could feel with the ever-beating thud, thud, thud of her heart, they must reside. In a world that has a God of love as its creator, there must be angels, unicorns, and winged horses. Invisible ones, but powerful in their reach to inspire a little girl to hold on to dreams, possibilities, and the belief that even though you can't see something with your eyes, you can feel the solidity of its presence with your heart. She made friends with the lime green grasshoppers, holding them gently in the palm of her hands, feeling the tickling movement of their bodies. She sprinkled crumbs from her crackers, becoming mesmerized as ant patrols carried them off with clear purpose. Dribbles of spit and drops of juice fed her industrious little friends as they moved this way and that. The cool, damp crabgrass offered soft relief to her heated skin, a natural bed to lay on, a long stalk of green grass dangling from her lips. She wondered what lay beneath her, imagining secret tunnels and holes in the musty, rich earth. She loved the smell of dirt, loved to watch water trickle down and create paths and grooves. At night, she stared into the heavens, wondering if there really was a man in the moon. She wanted it to be so, to be real as the twinkling stars. She allowed all fears and bad feelings to drift away, like the puffy clouds floating on by. She came to know the flowers, the bushes, and the trees. Wild, arching bougainvillea, glamorous hibiscus, divy, ponciana, bright, sunshiny puis, and lignum vitae. She climbed the spreading, inviting limbs, allowing the sturdy branches to hold her weight. She felt safe and secure with her outdoor home. She picked sea pods and fronds, berries and cherries, leaves and weeds, setting out offerings for her unseen friends. As often as she could, she followed her father around the garden as he watered every growing garden member, and she came to know nature as her friend. And as they wound their way from front to back, there were plums, pomegranates, almonds, cashews, peaches, cherries, guineps, oranges, lemons, and limes, and mangoes of all kinds to sample. Sweet treats of Bombays and Julies, common and number 11s, Haydens and even an East Indian. Those are all mango names. Nature could feed you while it restored your spirits. Did you know? Have you ever experienced how quickly a mood can shift when Mother Nature holds you in her leafy arms? Try it sometime. You may be amazed at what the winds can blow away and what can disappear in a trickling stream. I have let go the weight of lifetimes in God's instant meditation room. That brown-skinned island girl looked to the hills, familiar like the sunrise. She spotted a convent that was nestled in the grassy folds. Every once in a while, a dry summer land would catch a fire, orange-red crackling and threatening, and she would watch with big eyes, praying that her convent be spared. It always was. Faith grew as nature conducted its version of church. Our rightness took hold as love continued to find a way. One day, when you find yourself all alone in the world, talk to a tree. Let the flittering leaves tell you a story about what they've heard and sights they've seen. Dig your uncovered hands deep into Mother Earth and let her rich browns, russet reds, and black crumbles remind you of the foundation and depth of your heart. Open to love moving through you and in your life, connecting you to others, to everything and everyone you come in contact with. When it's been difficult for me to open my heart to another person, love finds a way through a wild cat, a willful horse, a pair of baby brown eyes, my son Mikkel, staring back into mine. My daughter wanted to know what I was going to call this story. When I told her love finds a way, she remarked that there was nothing in here about romance and a boy and a girl. Well, love isn't just about romance, my child, and it isn't always about a boy and a girl. Sometimes love comes to you through obvious ways like family and partners. Sometimes it serenades you through the gift of music, dance, sports, art, friendship, work, service projects, the divine, and blessed animals who pitter-patter across your path. So, why am I telling you all this anyway? Because you must already know that the girl is me, and I'm by no stretch of the imagination still a little girl sitting on the grass looking for brownies on their toadstools. Well, not really. I want you to feel a few of the many ways that love can dance in your life. And even if you have closed the door to romance or never had it opened yet, or have difficulty loving people, love is wise and will find another way to move through your life. And so there's always hope and there's always a chance. Because once a door is opened, another door will, and then a window, and then before you know it, the whole house is wide open, ventilated with a love breeze. I want to remind you of dreams, of the magic of childhood things that stir our souls. I want to remind you of the blessings and wonder of nature. I want to re-inspire a belief in the invisible. I want to tell you that even though you can't see something with your eyes, you can feel the solidity and realness of its presence with your ever-beating, loving heart. And next slide. Left turns in life. Sometimes you think sometimes the plan is to go this way, and sometimes the universe has another plan in mind, and then the straight line you think you're going on becomes some curved detour, and then off you are on this scenic route you had no idea was coming. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you, it's called Home with an Angel. And keeping with the theme of love finding a way, this next piece I wrote back in February 2010 when I was living in Sapphire, North Carolina. And for those who may be listening who don't know where that is, it's in the upper part of Transylvania County in the mountains. Beautiful western North Carolina. And on the evening in question, I was traveling up Highway 130 North in South Carolina, which eventually crosses the state line and then becomes Highway 281 North. So I used to live on that road. It's Lower Whitewater Road. And when my mother used to come and visit me, she would say, "Oh my God, Nicola, you're living out in the back of nowhere, back of God's back." So it was on 21 acres of land. It was a beautiful property, pretty isolated, but beautiful. So that road felt like my road. So this is what this story is influenced by. Carving out a little space for myself this morning, realizing that love will find a way even in the tightest of corners. Angels, in one guise or another, knock at my door. Maybe they don't even have to knock or tap. Maybe just their very presence outside my window is like the sunlight shining in, beckoning me to come out and play. Once I was driving up my beloved mountain road, rugged rocks to one side, wetly glistening in the moonlight, forests and deep gorges to the right. Without warning, my car gave out in the middle of the road. Surprisingly, I had no fear. The impulse was to wind down the window, stick my head out, and breathe in the cool mountain air. So many stars out that it struck me as unreal, yet so magical. I felt like howling like a wolf, so I did. I think it was the year that I got my first mobile phone. It was a big, bulky bag phone, and it took me a while to remember that I even had it. It took me even longer, and it didn't happen that night, to remember that I did have roadside emergency service. I called the police instead, and sooner or later, they came. I wound all the windows down and let the night in. No streetlights to distract. Just the beautiful feeling of nature all around, keeping me centered. My first angels came in the form of 2 drunken men in a pickup truck. They moved my car to the pavement and seemed reluctant to leave me alone, wondering if I would be okay. I assured them I was fine and that help was on the way. I felt nothing but gratitude and a sense of everything being as it should. Nothing else passed me on my quiet road until flashing lights pulled up behind me. The police had arrived. The South Carolina police. This particular angel took me all the way home. He told me he was just about to retire. Retirement was around the corner for him, and he had the concern that he could ruin it for himself by crossing state lines to transport me home. He did it anyway. The feeling of all rightness seemed to grow, and I felt warm inside knowing that the universe was on my side forever and always. I like the idea of angels being here for me and for you. They are the invisible and unknown players who are cheering us on, rooting for our victory. I like the feeling that no matter what we do or what direction we turn, their support is unwavering. How could you possibly disappoint or let down an angel? Even if you went in a wrong direction, I'm sure there really aren't any. There would always be an energy that instantly shifts and moves to accompany us every step of the way. An energy that is always softly glowing. An energy that is always softly calling. Here I am, little one, come home. That's not the first time I call the police. I don't know, that feels like my default when something goes wrong. So at that same house up in Sapphire, I woke up one night and there's a horse on the porch. So I called the police, and the police came, and I knew it belonged to the neighbor who hadn't been feeding the horse. So I had concern about the horse being fed, but I insisted I didn't want the neighbor to get in trouble. But I did want the horse off my porch, and I did want it to get fed. And the other time I called the police at the same house, my dog got hit by a truck, and she was injured, and she was in the bushes, and she was howling and in pain, and I was afraid to touch her. I wasn't sure if she would bite me because she was in pain. So again, I called the police, and the police came pretty quickly. What was really sweet about that was the police went in the bushes with me, and we held the dog, and she died peacefully. And then he helped me carry the dog up to the house and helped me bury the dog. So that's my good memories with the police. Okay, the next thing is called My Heart Melted. And this poem is inspired by my daughter. She's my firstborn. She's 21 years old now. But way back then, I really didn't want children. I didn't want children for a long time. And then I used to buy my birth control in Jamaica. It was 85 cents for a pack. So I'd buy like a year's supply. But one time I forgot to buy my birth control. And that was a catalyst that started off this what if thinking in my head. And it just started to play out, and this what if? What if? Well, what if? Well, what if you got pregnant? What if? And then I remember the day, it was like a conscious decision. And I remember saying, God, if you feel that this will bring more love in my life, then whatever that's what I want. I did get pregnant, and my beautiful daughter came to be. My heart melted. Last night, my heart melted right open. I saw my daughter before me, the perfect gift beckoning me forward, offering me the opportunity to heal old wounds, blockages, and closed-off spaces. I saw myself in her, my mother in me, replaying an old dance, an old drama. In this moment, a chance to create a new ending and a new beginning. My heart melted and love flowed in, warmth embracing me, us. I felt the connections of parallel worlds. Compassion was new. It melted the walls, the judgment, the irritation, the anger, the hatred, the pain, the profound sadness. It melted it all away. She is me. I am her. No separation, nothing in the way. Nothing between us. I felt the love seeping in and filling me up. A soft, gentle wave washing over me. My heart melting. Today, I looked into her eyes, and love bloomed. Next slide. So this is called New Day, and we are coming to the home stretch, and I'm calling it a new day. So this I wrote back in 2010, and it's called The Wisdom of Life. Life is a prayer. Let me open to the wisdom of it. There's a feeling that everything I could possibly want is already right here for me. It is simply a matter of opening to the beauty and the inherent wisdom of life. A tree doesn't need my translation to be what it is. Life does not require that I add my interpretations, judgments, opinions, qualifications. Just feel what is present. Experience it deeply and purely. Appreciation will naturally rise its soft and radiant bloom. Appreciate every exquisite second of the prayer that is your life. Come to the door of awareness. Drop your requests. Let go of your demands for a moment and open to a power that knows all, sees all, is all. Sink into the precious yielding spirit, omnipresence, and just be. Let yourself drop away into the vast reaches of the divine embrace. Your life is a prayer. Open to the wisdom of it right now. So I'm going to close with 1, 2, 5. They're really short poems, and the first one is called My Life. What does it mean to be alive? This unconscious unnoticing of the chain of events, moving here, reacting there, the light off to what surrounds me. What does it mean to be alive? That conscious feeling the way the stream flows, riding the wave forward until I disappear into the night of my ever-living soul. What does it mean to be alive, to be still in the dark, unafraid, feeling the velvety cloak that surrounds me, feeds me, sustains me? My life, what does it mean to be alive? To push past the boundaries, to move beyond the borders of what is known as life itself. To see anew, to experience the vast and the minute, without barriers, without addition. To tiptoe into the vastness of God's creation, my home, with a feeling of awe, appreciation, and yes, recognition. Awareness for the creative force that serves to make up that which I consider my life. This is showing up for life. What would it feel like to show up for my life, to embrace each precious moment like it was the first, to savor life fully, to enjoy every exquisite second, to see richness all around, divine, majestic grace? I'm ready to step forward, to stand boldly in the light. No more hiding out. I claim my birthright. I'm ready, dear God. Please take my hand. Wrap me in tenderness and fold me in your pure light. These last 3 I wrote back to back, and they're all about fire. Time to shine. Do nothing. Be still. Exciting times lay ahead, my friend. Go inward like the hibernating bear. Seek sustenance and direction from the deep pool of life. Dip down into the inky depths. Tap into the wisdom waiting to greet you beyond the hallowed doors. Time to shine, little ones. It's time to rise and shine. Step forth, you beacon of light, paving the way with brilliance and glory. This moment is your moment. This time is your time. This lifetime is yours to blaze a trail, to leave your imprint, to leave no stone unturned, leave no soul untouched. You are being called forth, heart of mine, now, to be the new light in this world. New fire. Breathe down deep. Inhale the fire of past generations, of Mama's soul, of Brother Moon and Lion Heart. Sip till you are drunk and reeling with the spirit, with the flame of fires that once were lit, eager to burn once more in your heart. Through eyes that glow with new embers, See beyond the scope of the physical. Stretch further with warped arrow speed. Cast your net at the outer edges of imagination where dreams shimmer. There, breathe in new fire. Your moment in time. This is your moment in time, Mihuna. This is our time, sweet grace. Time to settle into glory. Time to ride forward. Inspiring history like we have never known. Blazing a trail that shatters closed minds. Living a momentous now. Setting fire to a rising splendor. This is God's time, always and forever. This is Buddha's nation, hallowed and true. This is Sky Woman's season, fiery, victorious. This is Jah's glory, come to light. Oh, praise Allah to the highest. Light is shining through. This is the eternal dawn breaking on the shore of our hearts. So that is it for me. If there are any questions. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I don't think there are any